What's up, dude? How was your weekend?
That's good.
Yeah?
I went on a run, went on a bike ride, built a thingy. I built a wall.
Good. You did build well.
Faux wall.
You covered a wall.
Yeah. I wallpapered a wall with a palette.
It looks really good.
Thanks.
Check out Run Bike Mike on Instagram to see pictures.
Yeah.
Or a picture. Pictures.
I think it's just
Just
Yeah.
I showed that to my wife, and I was like, hey, babe, look at this. And she was like, ooh. Which, she's been a little upset about how I hung our bikes since the day I hung them.
Oh.
Because I didn't pre-discuss with her. Hey, I'm going to do this thing.
You have to discuss the garage? Isn't that your domain?
Ooh, no.
No.
No. See, your relationship and house is divided that way. Yours is all in there, mine's out here.
Yeah.
The whole house is ours.
Okay.
And the garage is part of the house. So I did the stuff and didn't say anything to her. Had a buddy come over and help me, and then she walked outside and she was like, oh, so you did that, huh? I was like, yeah, doesn't it look good? They're up off the ground.
Yeah, you're all super proud of it.
Yeah. And she was like, did we talk about this?
We'll talk about this later, Chad.
No, she said, did we talk about this? And I go, oh, no, we didn't.
Well, you know.
So, anyway, I showed her that.
And she
was like, ooh, that looks nice.
I like that.
So I might find a couple of pallets somewhere and
I'm gonna warn
try to dress up my bike area.
I'm gonna warn you. It took longer to tear apart the pallets
right?
than to put the whole entire wall up.
They put a million nails in those things.
And they put screwy nails in them. Like, if you look at it, it's like a nail
nails.
with a twist.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a nightmare.
Yeah.
Apparently they don't want those pallets coming apart. It took me so much longer to tear them apart because you have to be careful because the wood's kind of brittle.
Kind of brittle. It's not great wood.
No, it's not high quality. That's why they use
There's a reason it looks rustic so fast.
Yeah. This is crap wood. I'm going to go home this afternoon. The whole thing's going to be deteriorated. It's just going to be gone.
It's just going to fall off.
Yeah. What'd you do this weekend?
We had a golf tournament associated with work.
Oh, okay.
And so played in that Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And then had a 6-year-old birthday party.
Oh.
In the afternoon. Was cop themed. And they actually got the Nixa PD, one of their officers, to swing by. Oh. And
the kid was excited.
The neighborhood and all that stuff. And the kids went crazy. It was one of the SUV type cars.
Yeah.
And he opened up the hatch and opened up the middle doors, and like kids were they were like ants. They were everywhere.
Yeah.
And I ended up, after they kind of cleared out, after the excitement wore off, I put my kids in the back seat, took a couple pictures of them, and some of that kind of stuff.
Don't get back here ever again.
Yeah. This was pretty clever, right? Instead of having a birthday cake, since it was cop themed, they had donuts.
Oh, nice.
They got like a bunch of Hertz, all kinds of crazy donut kinds. Yeah.
And I'm assuming you watched the chefs play.
I watched the chefs. They're 3-0.
Yeah. I saw about 30 seconds of it, and I saw they were up. They were like at 20 points, 20 home runs. 20
home runs.
I was like, "Yep, Chad's watching this," and he's probably like,
"Yeah, we got the ball first, but we didn't score first." And I was like, "Ugh, come on."
Yeah.
And then it was over after that.
Yeah. Seemed like they were doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, I was going to ask you, why did the Invisible Man turn down the job offer?
Because
he couldn't see himself doing it. One of the worst dad jokes ever.
I like it. So I know it's not my week, but I'll probably forget by next week. I was at an accounting conference last week, and Mr. Excel was there, Bill Jellin, and he had 3 different 1-hour segments, and one of the times when he was trying to get something to work, like it wasn't working, and he was like, stalling. He goes, hey, I got some Excel jokes. Do you guys want to hear them? And all the accountants, being nerds, were like, yeah. The only one I remember is...
Only imagine how boring that conference is to the average person.
Right? Why aren't Excel spreadsheets allowed to drive? Because they're always crashing.
Oh.
But
On that note, moving on.
Moving right along.
So this week, I have several things I want to talk about. Of course, we all updated to iOS 13.
Uh-huh.
I updated to watchOS 6. Have one thing I want to talk about on the watch. An Amazon event. And I want to do my second thing on the screen time, or on the family sharing.
Mm-hmm.
This time it's going to be on the screen time settings.
Okay.
So, how about you?
Yeah. I'm going to chime in on different parts of your stuff.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Lunchtime Tech Talk. I'm Chad.
And I'm Mike. So you updated iOS 13?
I did. Yeah.
Dark
mode is so awesome.
It is nice,
hey,
isn't it?
What is dark mode smearing? Because I saw some chat. You don't know either. Okay.
Dark mode smearing, I would assume that it's like people who have Androids that are like, man, we've had.
No, it was Zach Hall was talking about it on Twitter, and I tried to scroll through the thread and find somebody who was going to explain it, but everyone was like, yeah, I think it's a lot better too, blah, blah, blah. And so I guess it's something that the OLEDs specifically used to do, but I don't know exactly what it is.
I think it has to do with like the transitions between screens whenever it's in dark mode, because technically
when you go to an app that's not
black,
as
it's like really pixels are
off. Okay.
Which is supposed to be the big
So it's like a lagging thing.
Yeah. I think so. I don't really know.
It was just something I saw over the weekend, and I was like, I don't really know what this is. That was sort of my guess, was it being late turning on or off when you went from one app to the other, but I didn't know.
Probably the average Joe would never notice it.
Probably not.
More than likely.
But yeah, so it came out on Thursday.
Yep.
I have mine set up to like auto update.
Mm-hmm.
I went ahead and did it at like 1:30 in the afternoon.
I did too. I did that once. I think it was on 11, and my whole phone locked. So I've always been kind of nervous about doing the big updates at work. But I went ahead and I was like, forget it. What can go wrong, right? So I did it. I really like it. I'm pretty happy with it. There's a lot of little features that I do like about it. But I really wanted to talk about this real quick. Apple Watch, watchOS 6 came out alongside it. And actually my favorite feature is really stupid, but I love it, is the calculator that is on the watch now.
Yeah. And
this should have been there for the whole time, because what's really cool about it is you can pull up your calculator, you can type in a number, and there's a button called tip. And you hit the tip button, and you use your digital crown to scroll up and down, and it changes the percentage of the tip. And it shows you the amount before the tip, the amount of the tip, and then the total amount after the tip. And then in between those two is how many people. So you can choose up to 50 people to split that with, and it does the math for you and tells you how much it is per person. I'm like, that's really handy.
That's a pretty in-depth tip calculator.
Yeah, it's super simple. Like, there's not really much to it. It's just a couple little things on the screen.
Put in your number and pick your percentage.
Yeah. I'm like, I will use this.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite thing. Do you have a specific favorite thing?
I have 5 things that I like so far.
Ooh, what are they?
Dark mode.
Yep.
I do like the volume control.
I love it.
I also like, so it's not right in the middle of your screen, but it also, like, it pops up a slidey bar. And so, like, I'll hit it once and then use the slidey bar on screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never tried that.
I just like it better. I feel more, feels quicker.
Then
click, 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 click.
It's an additional option.
Yeah.
That you can use or not use.
Yeah. Sending screenshots is way better now. Yeah. I send a ton of screenshots specifically to you. But like when you click on the share, like it has some, like basically the last few people you've texted.
Yeah, the share sheet is much improved.
And, like there's a lot more drawing editing options down at the bottom. So I liked that.
the best thing about the whole screenshot thing? Full page screenshots. You go
instead of
Safari,
like a thumbnail type of thing.
Yeah, you go to Safari and it will literally take a picture of the entire page.
Oh, instead of just what you're seeing?
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's not integrated into like messages and stuff yet, but it is integrated into Safari. So if you have like a web page and you're like, this thing's not it's not fitting on the whole thing, but I want this whole picture, you can take a screenshot, click full page, and it'll show you the full page.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like the new updates to the Photos app.
Oh, yeah, those are good. I like how the live photos just start playing.
Yeah.
And the videos do too, but they don't play with sound at first, so I was worried that the sound would just start playing.
Right. You don't always want that.
No.
And then I have a 10R. My camera portrait mode now has some like additional settings.
Yeah.
So
I thought that was nice.
They pushed back some software updates. So I have the natural light, studio light, and contour light, whatever that is. But
yeah, you got some updates.
Yeah.
Which
I got
is cool.
some pushed back stuff. So it's always fun to get stuff pushed back to you.
Yeah. Those are all good ones.
Yeah, those are my things.
Yeah. I think I like all those too.
Yeah.
The share sheet is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Just because it is so in depth and you can do so much with it.
Yeah.
Video editing, which is really nice. You couldn't ever edit videos. You can only crop them. But you couldn't do any editing. And the editing is actually pretty advanced that you can do on there.
Nice.
I'm impressed with it. So I'm going to use that more in the future.
And then I also wrote down here games I've played on arcade.
Oh,
but
yeah.
we don't have to get into that if you don't want to.
No. Let's hear the game list.
Okay. So I've played Spaceland, Overland, What the Golf sucks, just so you know.
Sad face.
Assemble, Possessions, Lava, and Frogger. Frogger, I played one level and I was like, yeah, this is Frogger. There's a reason that it hasn't stayed around.
That's kind of my thoughts on a lot of the old games that come back, like for stuff like this. It's like, really, you can try to reinvent the wheel, but let's be honest, it's Crossy Road. That's the modern Frogger.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah.
Like when my kids get a little older and they figure out how to play games, they'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I was okay with it.
I introduced Kate to the arcade this morning. I didn't have time to do it over the weekend and stuff because she was busy, I was busy, we were running all over the place, and it just wasn't a good time. And she hadn't updated to iOS 13 yet, so she updated late last night, and then this morning I showed her, and she's like, "Oh, cool! So I can get all these games and not have to pay for them." And I was like, "Yeah," and there's no ads and all that stuff. She's like, "Great!" So she downloaded one, and she was having fun with it.
Nice.
But I am already to the point where I'm like, it was awesome for the first couple of days, and I played some games, and I'm already bored with it.
Right.
So
Overland is probably the one that I've played the most, and it's the one at first blush I probably liked the least. But it's one of those like infuriatingly. It's simple. It's very simple, but I can't beat it. And that's hard. Driving me crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so I just keep, if I've got a few minutes here or there, and it's kind of like Spaceland. You can pick it up, put it down, like whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and it's strategic, but it seems impossible. I don't understand.
Yeah.
And so it's making me very, very mad, but I also like won't admit defeat yet. And so there I am, going back to it over and over again, which is frustrating.
You'll either A, beat it, or you'll just keep banging your head against the wall until you're like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
My biggest disappointment with the Apple Arcade is that I don't feel like the games are as like epic as what they kind of made me feel like they were going to be. Like I felt like these games were going to be like really long, like in-depth games. I feel like there's a lot of them that are just like, hey, we made this game really quick. It's got 3 levels. Have fun.
Yeah.
Like that Red Raid or whatever it was.
Red Rain.
Yeah, Red Rain. I was really having fun with that. And then I realized,
It's just going to be this over and over forever.
It's the same thing over and over. Like, there's no level progression. There's no bosses. It's like, I don't really care about playing against my friends because most of my friends aren't playing this. And,
right.
like, I wanted it to be a little bit more of an adventure with a story. And that's what I liked about the one game, Spaceland. But I haven't really gotten too far into that either.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Spaceland was fun. It was the one that I played, like, the first night. But I literally haven't opened it back up.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I think about it, but then I just didn't open it at all.
Then you just don't. Yeah. So anyway,
that's a good list.
It's fun. It's free-ish. I mean,
for now it's free.
Yeah, I did and that's not what I meant by free, but like, if you pay for it, it's paid for.
Right.
Versus like.
Yeah, you're not buying more stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. No in-app annoying purchases and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Amazon, I guess, is having an event on the 25th of September.
That's in 2 days.
Yeah. So last time they had an event,
It will have happened yesterday when you hear this.
Right.
Shoot.
The way the cookie crumbles. Well, last time they announced, like, some new Echo devices, that weird clock and a microwave and other weird gadgets. So
a microwave?
Yeah, they have a microwave. It's a tiny one. We thought about getting it because you can say,
for your popcorn
Alexa,
room?
pop my popcorn. Yeah. But it was too small. Like, a bag of popcorn, would fill
barely.
the whole thing up. So we're like, no, because it was only $50. It was super cheap.
Gotcha.
But we decided not to get that one. But so I'll be interested to see what they come out with this time.
Yeah.
They're predicting like new Echo devices, maybe Fire TV stuff, which is their streaming box thing, and maybe some new Ring products, which is the security system.
So at the golf tournament, one of my friends from work, he said that he just bought a new Fire Stick, and he's had one for a while, so new to him would probably be upgraded. But he was bragging all about it, and they're maybe set to come out with a new one. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got that little box. It's like a pretty decent sized cube. That's a Fire TV box thing. That's supposed to be pretty neat. I guess it can turn on your TV. Like, it's got like an infrared shooter thing in it, a blaster. Maybe
that is what he got, because he said that his Fire remote controls everything now. It controls his sound bar and everything.
Yeah,
He said it was super slick, pretty easy to set up and everything. So that's where all these tech companies excel in my mind. Like, when I installed my Nest, it was like, hey, go to this website or whatever, and we'll just step you through. Like, it's so easy.
Make it easy.
Yeah.
That's how you get people to come back.
Yep.
Like, if they don't struggle with it, they're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to buy this product because it's easy to use.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm kind of interested to see what happens there. I'm not super excited about it, but just interested.
Yeah.
Because you never know with Amazon.
Right. They might announce the personal teleporter for $150. You can have one in your home.
Good.
And you're like, what? $150? Right. Thanks, Overlord Bezos.
And then you wind up being trapped inside the server somewhere.
Right.
Being chased by Alexa.
Remember all those times you bossed me around? Chad, go get this. And I'll be like, I never had an Alexa. Oh, so you're better than me? Shoot.
Dang it. So, next, the series that we were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Episode 2.
Episode 2.
Of family sharing.
Family sharing. Why do today I'm having a hard time remembering.
Are you struggling?
I am. It's a Monday. Why do we do this on Mondays?
So we can talk about the weekend?
Oh, yeah, okay. So, the family sharing, just to continue on what we talked about last week, it talked about how to set this stuff up and how to properly get it all lined up for all your family members in there and some of the advantages. Well, one of the advantages that I had mentioned in there was screen time. And basically, if you have young kids, this is where it becomes really handy, just because if you have a spouse, you're not going to want to turn on limiting screen time. Otherwise, you might not be married for very long.
You can only be on Facebook for an hour a day.
Yeah, how cruel would that be? It sounds okay when you're doing that for your kid, but if you're doing that to your spouse, I'm sure there could be some type of digital abuse.
Hey, Mike, you know how the garage is yours? Sleep out there.
Exactly. So if you go into settings and then you look down just a little ways, you'll see something called screen time. A lot of people associate this feature that came out in iOS 12 as a way to track and see what you're actually using. Now you can limit yourself in the basic screen time. You can set app limits and what you can and can't do. But for me, I never turn any of that stuff on because frankly, I'm not going to limit myself. That's just silly. I have self-control. Being an adult, I can handle this.
Weird. I don't.
If you
No, my screen time, sorry, I'm derailing us. My screen time ends up being crazy because when I go to bed, I listen to ASMR videos on YouTube. Mm-hmm. The screen has to be on for YouTube to work. So I just put my phone face down.
Yeah.
And usually I leave autoplay on. And so it'll play 3 or 4 hours of videos. So my screen time average for a day is usually around 8 hours.
Yeah.
Which looks awful. And 5 of those hours is social media, But anyway.
So if you're in that screen time setting area, you can scroll down a little bit. If you have family sharing turned on, you'll see family members. I see my kids. I don't see Jessica. And I think it's because she's an adult and she's a guardian. So I don't know if I can turn that on for her or not, but I have no interest in controlling her phone. And I'm sure she has no interest in me controlling her phone. Right. So for instance,
that's the more important one.
Right. So for instance, on my under screen time, I've got family and it shows Kate and Lexi. And basically, if you go into one of their names, if you click on it, you can see their screen time information. So for instance, Kate's iPad usage is 2 hours. That's her average, which is up 57% from last week. So
because you told her about arcade.
Maybe. Who knows? But so you can go in here and you can actually, if they've got more than one device, you can switch between the devices so you can see what their screen time is between both of them. But the more important thing for parents out there or guardians is the settings that you can actually turn on with the family sharing enabled. So on Kate's, for example, I can go into downtime, and whenever you go into the downtime menu, it's going to ask you for a password that you would set up, that this is important for them to not know.
Oh, another one of those.
Yes. So it's a 4-digit password, so just make it something that you know. You can turn on downtime. So essentially what it's going to do is it's going to pop a message saying, hey, you know what, you should probably stop using the apps that you're using, blah, 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 blah. You can set it for every day. You can customize the days. And then you can set the times that you want this to come on. For instance, Kate's time is from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And then there's one other setting in there. It's called block at downtime. Now, this is the important setting for parents because if you just turn downtime on, it's just a suggestion. But if you put block at downtime, it will actually stop the
screen
use.
Turns off?
No, the screen shows up, but everything's gray. All the apps are gray.
Can't click anything.
Except for apps that are allowed. And
so you could leave, on a phone, you could leave the phone app available.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. Exactly. So if you set that up, you can go into, if you look down three items down from downtime, there's an always allowed, and that's what you would set on there. So for instance, with Kate, I've got messages, FaceTime, maps, which I don't know why I've got maps in there, but it's just probably one of the defaults. And then she's got a white noise app that she likes to listen to at night. But I don't know why I have that. Oh, I know why I have that, because whenever she sleeps over at friends' houses or whatever, because they're not allowed to have their phones upstairs whenever it's bedtime.
Gotcha.
So, but then you can add apps. Basically, any apps that are on her phone or on her iPad, we can add to those. So you can limit the amount of time that they're using it, or the time frames that they're allowed to use it. And then you can allow specific apps to always work. So if you're got a teenager and you don't want them on Snapchat or whatever after midnight, you can set that up. But if you want them to be able to message you or call you, you can allow those, which is a nice setting. But then you can get into more granular type things. You can set app limits, which is really nice. Now you can set these app limits by categories, like games, entertainment, and all that stuff. Or you can even drill in further. Like, for instance, I've got, basically for Kate, I've got games set up to, if she ever went over 5 hours, it's
in a day?
It's done. Yeah, like that, she's never hit that limit, thankfully, that I know of, but it would block all games. But I've got other things, like, for instance, entertainment, which you can edit the list whenever you click on each one of these little things under app limits and specify specific apps. So she's got a YouTube limit and a TikTok limit. So she can only use those for 2 hours. If she goes over those 2 hour limits, then basically those apps gray out and she can't use them, or she can ask for more time.
Gotcha.
And I can either respond or just ignore the request. but so that's a nice feature. Some people say, well, if you're a good parent, you should just be monitoring your kids all the time. But seriously, let's be real.
You're just going to sit over her shoulder.
Right.
Like a
if you're a
parrot.
helicopter parent.
When
then
on
maybe.
Earth would you get a pallet wall put up if you were constantly watching your children watch YouTube?
Exactly. There's just so much going on in life. These are features that are nice for parents to be able to know, you know what, maybe I'm not on my A game today. But guess what? My iPhone and the iPad are always on their A game, and they're always monitoring what she's doing on these particular apps. And if she goes over 2 hours, it's just going to shut off on her, and then she's going to have to ask me.
And so most living rooms are set up where the backs of chairs face walls, right? Mm-hmm. So the only way you can truly monitor what she's doing on her iPad is to either walk over and sit down beside her and look at her screen, or just constantly all day long go, hey, Kate, what are you doing right now?
Right.
Oh, you're playing games right now? Okay, games are fine. I'm not limiting those, but I am limiting YouTube, you're thinking in your mind. So, okay, she's not on YouTube. You don't know if she's on YouTube or not.
Right.
She just told you that she's playing games.
Right. Exactly.
You know,
these are tools that are handy for every
parent shaming drives me crazy.
Yeah.
So
it's because nobody's perfect at it.
You would think.
Yeah.
That some are.
Yes, you would think.
You would think.
So, yeah, I mean, these are just really handy tools.
Yeah, no, I like that.
You can set app limits.
You haven't been, like, extremely restrictive.
No.
In any way.
There's a reason why I'm not super restrictive on this. I'm definitely, I restrict Kate more than I restrict Lexi. And some people would be like, well, that's favoritism. Whatever. She's older.
Kids are different.
She's older. Lexi has never been prone to be on a device for a long time. Like, that's not her thing.
Sure.
Kate is just like me whenever I was a kid. Like, I was a video game fanatic, and I would spend 4 days without coming out of my room playing a game. Yeah. And Kate can have that same mentality. So I do have to limit her on some things, because she would literally spend her whole day, her whole weekend on her device if she could, because she loves it. She absolutely loves it. Like, and it's different than whenever I was a kid. Like, when she's on her device, she's actually either FaceTiming a friend or playing a game with a friend and interacting, or she's FaceTiming and playing a game at the same time, which she does.
The amount of things that she can do from one device are way different.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were playing on your PlayStation as a kid, you were playing on your PlayStation. Yeah. There was nothing else to do with it.
There was no other communication.
Right.
Because it was before the time of, like, all of the online games and the headsets and the chatting and all that stuff.
Right.
So I try not to limit them too much, because I also want them to learn how to manage this stuff on their own.
Yeah.
Because if they aren't learning how to manage it on their own, then whenever they get out on their own, they're going to go crazy with it. But I don't want to be that parent that's like, you could only have 30 minutes on this app. And then whenever my kids get out on their own, they're like, well, mom and dad always said I can only have 30 minutes. Well, I'm going to spend 8 hours on it today because they're not around.
Because I can't.
Right. So I give them just a little bit of extra space. That way they can kind of, play around with it and enjoy it and not feel like they're too restricted. And Kate doesn't ever complain about it.
Sure.
Like if she hits that 2-hour mark, she's like, okay, I'll ask. And if they say no, then she finds something else to do.
Yeah.
So, and I would rather her be like, if she runs out of time, I don't care if she's still on her device, if she's like FaceTiming a friend. Right. Because I consider that like interaction with another person.
Right.
Like you might not, it's like no different than like whenever we were kids talking on the phone.
Right.
Like kids don't talk on the phone nowadays. They FaceTime.
Right.
Constantly.
Oh man. Kids. That's a whole other topic. But kids will never have to call and hope that parents don't answer.
Yeah.
Like they just call their friend.
Right. It's just direct line. And what's really funny is that a lot of like Lexi's friends will text Jessica also.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, hey, I just wanted to ask you this question. Like if they have a question, they'll just like text her. And it's like, I never would have done that as a kid. Like ask my friend's parents a question. Like what's Lexi going to wear to such and such? I can't get a hold of her. Be like, oh, okay. Whatever.
Your wife's the cool mom.
I think she's pretty cool.
Well, right.
But I'm biased.
Yeah.
But then the last thing on this list. So just real quick, I know we kind of been a little bit scattered on this. When you set up, no, I feel like I'm all over the place. I had notes, but I feel like I'm all over. But, when you set up family sharing, you have access to screen time for your kids. And in settings, screen time, you can scroll down to family, and in there, each individual person that is a child in your family, you can go in and set up downtime. You can set up app limits. You can set up what apps are always allowed, regardless of downtime and app limits. And then the last thing that you can do is you can get into real fine details with content and privacy restrictions. Mm. So if you have this on, you can go in and you can set up stuff about the iTunes and App Store. Like you can prevent them from installing apps, deleting apps, or doing in-app purchases. You can always require a password whenever they go to download something or buy something, or you can just say don't require. So you can get into that real fine detail of what you would set up on your own phone.
So that's nice that you can kind of do it from here for like everything versus going into each app
or having
setting
to have
the restrictions
phone
within each thing. Yeah.
And so you can control this at any point from your primary device or your device that's signed into your iCloud account or your your Apple ID account.
There we go.
And so like if your kids are away at a sleepover, and this has happened a lot, I have the downtime set to 10 o'clock, but when they're at a sleepover, I'm real lenient and I just shut it off. But if I forget, they can request and I can go in here and I can shut it off.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you don't have to have physical contact with the device.
Exactly. The next thing is there's allowed apps. So basically, if you don't want your kid to like have Safari at all, you can shut that off. Now these are limited to Apple's apps.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, the pre-installed
apps. So if you didn't want your kids to have Mail or Safari or FaceTime, you can actually shut those off from inside here. You can go into content restrictions. So basically, if your kid's young, you can prevent them from ever downloading a movie that's above a certain rating. Not getting music or podcasts that aren't rated clean, books that are clean. You can limit adult websites, so basically prevent them from seeing things that could be a little risky for a young kid. So there's a lot of settings inside this content restrictions that you can actually dial in. You can even set up the share my location, so you can either allow it or don't allow it. I personally like the share my location just because I know that they can share their location with anybody. I just tell my kids, don't share your location with somebody that you don't know.
Sure.
And you really don't have a need to share your location with your friends. But if there is like some sort of like an emergency or whatever, and they can't get a hold of us and they have to get a hold of somebody else, they could share their location with somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a privacy type thing that each parent's going to have to determine whether or not they want to allow their kid to share their location. So you can even do things down to details of like, are you going to let them change their passcodes? So some people have kids that will go in and set a password. Mom and dad know the password. Mom and dad haven't asked to look at their device in a while, and they'll be like, I'm going to change my password. And they'll change their password, and the parents will go to look at their device, and they'll be like,
they can't get in.
I can't get in. That's it. That's a big no-no in my house. If I am buying the devices, I have all rights to look and read
This
everything.
is my device. I'm letting you use it.
Yes. You can also even prevent them from changing any account details. So if they went into general and went into settings, it's going to restrict almost all of that stuff. Cellular data changes, do not disturb while driving, which is a good feature. So basically they could not change the settings on do not disturb while driving.
Nice.
TV provider, and then of course there's another setting called background app activities. I don't really pay attention to that just because it doesn't matter to me. We're on unlimited data, so whatever app's running in the background is no big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of detail inside this screen time.
Yeah, some of that I wouldn't have expected to be in screen time.
Yeah.
I would have expected to try to find it somewhere else.
Yeah. Exactly. It's basically almost like you are having full parental controls of your kid's device remotely.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I mean, you can go in as normal screen time and see all the data of what they've used, how many notifications they get, how much time they how many times they pick up their device, all the typical screen time stuff. But then you have those extra restrictions that you can set up.
That's pretty cool.
Real quick, I wanted to kind of share a little story about something that actually happened this weekend, or this week with Lexi and her phone. She left her phone at school after a volleyball game. And since I had family sharing turned on, I was able to go into the new Find My app, which is the same thing as like Find My Friends and Find My Phone. And I was able to report her phone as lost. We knew where it was because we could see it, because I could see her location. But I set it as lost, so it would lock the phone. And then it prompted me to put in a phone number that could be called from that phone. And then it also prompted me to put in a message. So I put in my phone number and I said, hey, this is Lexi's phone. She's in 8th grade. Call me if anybody finds this phone.
Yeah.
I get a phone call from a teacher that night who was just going through the locker room and making sure everything was picked up and all that stuff. And she's like, hey, I found Lexi's phone. I'm going to put it in my classroom. She can come get it in the morning.
Cool.
I was like, this is really nice, because if somebody would have picked up their phone, they wouldn't have been able to attempt to log in or anything like that, but they could make that call directly to me instead of saying, well, I wonder whose phone. I know this is Lexi's phone, but how do I get a hold of somebody if they didn't know how to do the emergency contact and all that stuff?
Right.
It's right there on the phone.
Pops up as a display screen.
Yeah.
And the part that I liked about all of that is, like, if one of her classmates found it or whatever, they also couldn't go through and attempt to unlock it 57 times just to lock it up.
Right.
Just to mess with her.
Exactly. Yeah. And
like,
so
it's just this one screen that gives you some information, and that's it.
Yeah. And then whenever Lexi got her phone back, she called me and was like, hey, I got my phone. Can you unlock it now? And I went into the Find My app and I unlocked it.
And was it just a simple toggle, or was that pretty straightforward?
Yep. It just basically, I think it was even a toggle that just said unlock phone.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That was another big advantage that of the family sharing.
And yeah, so that all worked because it's a family shared device.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. So yeah, that's the
Cool.
the next update. I know that there's other things to talk about. I'll have to go through and see what else the family sharing does that I have been using. Off the top of my head right now, drawing blanks. Just talked for a long time. So, but I think that'll do it for that. How about some crazy tech?
So, first of all, Marcus, I saw your request. Whoops. I know I asked for requests. I'll get to it. But I didn't have it in me for this week. And honestly, I think if I do your request, I think I'm going to do it at home with my phone and my wife's phone in the closet. And I'm just going to send you, Mike, the audio clip and be like, insert this where it goes.
Okay.
I'm not doing it in the car.
Okay.
Because I don't think I could do it without, like, getting embarrassed or whatever.
I mean, come on. The request was ridiculous.
It's an absolutely ridiculous request. But I've thought about it.
I greatly appreciated his request because, I mean...
Yeah, I know you did.
It was just like, how is he going to pull this off?
He's thought about it.
He's thought about it.
But anyway, on with crazy tech. Sometimes we talk about things. We talk about Huawei and folding screens. Talk about phones and wearable tech. Talk about Apple. And we talk about AI. 'Cause we love this tech. Love this podcast. Love to research and inform all of you. Feel so glad that it's finally time. It's crazy tech. It's crazy tech.
Oh my God, dude. You went over the top again.
I'm trying.
That was... I don't know where this is going to go, but this might be the whole thing. I mean, our podcast might go away, and it might just be you singing songs about crazy tech.
Just parodying songs.
Are we going to get a full band in here next?
I mean, maybe.
Maybe. That was good. I have no idea who that was.
Okay, so you know Blink-182?
Yeah.
The lead singer had two offshoot projects. One was Angels and Airwaves. Mm-hmm. The other was Boxcar Racer.
Okay.
That was Boxcar Racer.
Okay.
And the song is I Feel So. So.
That was good.
It's hard to call them punk rock because I know people who like punk rock would be like, that's not punk. But for someone who has eclectic taste in music, that's as punk as I get.
Yeah.
So.
Well.
It's that. It's kind of angsty teen.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I enjoyed the angsty teen crazy tech song this week. Good job, dude.
Thanks, man.
I'm going to go first.
Okay.
So, Amazon just put in the biggest order for electric vehicles that has ever been done. They ordered 100,000 electric vans from Rivian.
The company we've been talking about.
Yeah, now
vans.
Amazon, like,
all I had seen
vans.
was a truck and the SUV.
Yes, they are going to make delivery vans specifically for Amazon. 100,000 of them, and they'll have 100,000 of them out on the road by 2024.
That say Amazon on the side.
That seems very, very quick.
They trying to get around UPS and FedEx?
Yes, they are. They are creating their own delivery network.
Okay.
Yeah, they.
That means stamps are going to go from 50 cents to like $72.
$7.
$7.
You want to mail that letter? That'll be $450 and your firstborn child.
Oh shoot! Don't need to mail it that bad. I'll
Amazon
send a text.
Amazon will do it. No, 100,000 electric delivery vans.
So isn't that crazy that, well, it is crazy tech. Isn't it? It's crazy that you can be like, hey, company that makes vehicles, will you invent this vehicle for me? Because I want 100,000 of them.
Yeah. That's a lot of vehicles.
That's a lot of
like,
vehicles.
even if they weren't electric, that's a lot of vehicles. But they're electric. And so they said something, I think, by the end of 2020, they should have, I think, 100 of these vans out actually doing deliveries. That doesn't seem like enough. Maybe it was 1,000. I can't remember. But they're going to have some out by next year. And it's going to be a very limited amount. But by 2024, they're supposed to have all 100,000.
Wow.
And then by
that's like 25,000 vehicles a year.
It's a lot.
Man.
Especially for a company who is getting ready to announce the SUV and the truck. Actually being produced.
Now they've got to come up with a whole other
vehicle?
Yeah.
For a company?
For a company.
So here's the thing is the big benefit, I guess, is that Amazon and Ford are the #1 investors in Rivian. So Ford has the supply chain to be able to do it.
Would you say that $50,000 for a van, an electric van, is a fairly conservative estimate?
I would say that's probably
that feels
right.
about right, doesn't it?
These don't look like normal vans based off the picture. They look almost like UPS truck size. They're big.
Like box trucks.
Kind of, but they looked like vans. But they just looked really big. Not like... It wasn't like a typical cargo van. They looked bigger.
That's a $5 billion order they put in.
It's like Jeff Bezos just spending money.
I know.
He's just whatever.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's
crazy tech. That's a lot of vans.
That's a lot of vans. So that's the largest car order ever, you said.
Of electric vehicles.
Of electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Surely nobody's ordered 100,000 units of any vehicle before ever, but
I don't know. Maybe UPS delivery trucks.
I doubt it, because they're probably just doing. When I say a few, I don't mean 3 or 4. I mean a few for them, but a few every year.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not ever just replacing your entire fleet.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. Whew. Sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But they said by 2030, I think Amazon wants to be 100% renewable on their deliveries. So all their delivery stuff, which is weird because what about airplanes? They're not counting that? Is it just... It's probably just ground vehicles.
They're talking about deliveries. They're not talking about shipping.
Yeah, that could be.
You got to draw that distinction.
Yeah.
So stocking their warehouse doesn't count. Warehouse to you counts.
Okay. I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if they want to count themselves as 100% green or renewable, they could just get UPS to fly it somewhere, and they'll be like, "That's not us.
That's not us. That was UPS.
That was UPS." Anyways, that's my crazy tech.
It's so funny that you talked about an electric vehicle. So Harley Davidson has announced their first electric motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I thought when I saw this was, back in 1994, they tried to trademark the sound that a Harley Davidson makes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
When it's sitting and idling. And they fought it for several years, and all of the other V-twin motor manufacturers fought against it, of course. Because basically the reason that it makes the noise that it makes is because of the angle that the motor comes down.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of these other companies were like, okay, so if we offset our motor by a half a degree, it still sounds pretty much the same. It still works pretty much the same, but technically it's different, right? And so they fought it for a while, and in 2000 they dropped it all. An electric bike won't have much sound at all. Right. It especially won't have that sound.
Right.
And so I was like, well, that's kind of crazy. So it's going to be called the Livewire.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be just under $30,000. And the reason that they came out with it is, quote, to get young folks excited about motorcycles again.
Yes.
The reason young folks don't like motorcycles is because they're death machines. And this one in particular goes 0 to 60 in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about it, it had 4 different levels, or 4 different ride modes.
Mm-hmm.
So they had one for rain that would control things
a little differently,
power output and whatnot. They have a Sort of like all the new cars have with like electronic lane assist and that sort of thing.
Oh. Okay.
But it was RD something. It was 4 letters, but it was basically like to help you be a defensive rider.
Oh, okay.
So like if it sensed a car was coming into you or whatever, like it might take over and put you in a different lane.
Weird.
Or something.
Yeah.
Or if you were about to corner too hard, it might break your bike. Like slow your bike down, like
just
break
your
it.
bike in half.
BRAKE.
That'll teach you.
Yeah, right. And snap. So that was kind of cool. There was a lot of electronic stuff, but 146 miles in the city because it has regenerative braking.
Okay.
95 miles highway.
Yeah.
Which is not very far.
No.
Plugs in like your charger does to normal household outlet. Gives you a full overnight charge. On the public level 3 DC fast chargers, to do 80% in 40 minutes, and you could have a full charge in an hour.
Nice.
So
yeah, I have heard about the live wire, and I actually heard someone talking about it. I don't know what I was listening to
or who you know that would have been talking about it.
It was definitely a podcast or a YouTube video.
Okay.
And they were saying that this electric motorcycle is way overpriced.
But that's Harley Davidson.
Yes, that's what the one person was arguing, was that this was Harley Davidson. But then the other person was like, but it's not really, because it's electric. And what you pay for with the Harley is the sound.
Potato.
So apparently you can buy like off-brand, like electric motorcycles from China for like $1,500. Now they're not as nice as this, obviously,
right?
But some of the competitors that are the big brands that are coming out with theirs they're like between $10,000 and $12,000 less than the Harley, and of course there's nothing much you can do. It's just the first generation of it, right?
Right.
So, and it's Harley. So if you want a Harley, you're gonna pay Harley prices.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. You're not paying $30,000 to have a motorcycle that's electric. You're paying $30,000 to have Harley Davidson written on the side of it. Just like with the Apple Watch, you're not paying $1,400 for an Apple Watch. You're paying $1,400 because it says Hermes.
I am not paying that much for an Apple Watch.
Just saying.
I know, but that's crazy.
But
I get it. I totally get it. People like, there is a fashion almost sense to that.
Yeah.
The whole brand.
And I feel like, now I might be way off here because this is not my clique, but I feel like if you pulled up to a biker bar on an electric Harley, you would be accepted in differently than if you pulled up on a $1,500 whatever brand electric motorcycle.
That's so true. I think if you pulled up on a biker bar in an electric Harley like 5 years ago, you might not make it out alive. But now that electric is becoming more prominent and it's being proven that it's quick and it's efficient and it's actually becoming kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
You'd probably be accepted more with the Harley.
Yeah. Because like I feel like, again, I have no basis for this opinion, but I feel like there are places where like you could have a really nice street bike and not be accepted into a certain area because it's like Harley type motorcycles.
Yeah.
It could be a Harley, it could be a Yamaha, it could be whatever, but it's this style.
Right.
We're not doing crotch rockets here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I always find it weird when a crotch rocket's rolling with a whole bunch of Harleys.
Right?
Like I see him go down the road, I'm like,
Wing is different than
like that guy kind of stands out.
Yeah.
Like do they like him, or is they like,
or are they like, God, this guy. We all spent $30,000 on our bikes, and he spent $4,000.
Yeah,
that's really why they hate him.
Yeah, he can accelerate faster than us, but come on, seriously, it's not what it's about, dude.
Yeah, right. So anyway, I don't know, but I was looking for crazy tech, and that's what I found.
Yeah, I think it is crazy tech. Electric motorcycles, for whatever reason, just are kind of interesting. I would never buy one just because I'm past that point in my life where I want an electric motorcycle or a motorcycle, period.
I wanted one so bad at the end of high school, start of college.
Yeah.
That era.
Me too. Yeah.
So bad. And I never bought one. It's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
I saw a motorcycle almost eat it the other day. And it's, you see on the highway them riding down the highway doing wheelies and all sorts of stuff. And like, I've never seen anything even close to go wrong happen. But he was pulling out onto the highway and 3 lanes. There was a big truck in the far right lane. So he pulls out and gets in behind him, does the check back, gets to the middle lane and floors it, right? And as soon as he gunned it, the back tire did the fishtail thing.
Oh, no.
And I just like, every muscle in my body like froze up. And I'm sitting at a red light. Like I'm just sitting. And he saved it. But I was just like, oh my God. Because in that short amount of time, he was probably already going 50.
Right.
Like, he was slid a long ways. And I was just like, ah.
Yeah, if you like them, awesome. But
if at this point in my life, if I were single and didn't have kids, like, I still might be interested in buying one.
And maybe that's the case for me too.
Right?
Yeah.
But I also, even mountain biking sometimes scares me. And that's a lot slower.
It is.
And
there's
it's
trees that are closer.
There's trees that are closer, and it's not pavement. But I don't know. I've never been a huge. That's why I never bought one when I was younger.
Yeah.
I've never been huge into thrills. I'm an accountant. I'm a pretty safe guy.
Yeah, you kind of play it safe.
Yeah.
Just not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing.
You're here.
Yeah, I'm still here, man.
All right, I think that'll do it for us.
Yeah.
Do you want to give them the infos on where they can find us on the internet?
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Lunchtime Tech Talk. You can find us on Twitter at LunchTimeTechT1. You can find us on the internet at www.lunchtimetechtalk. There you can browse show notes and listen to past episodes that are available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and YouTube and wherever else you find your podcasts. You can also hit us up on Patreon. Throw us $1 a month.
Yep.
$12 all year.
That's it.
You can do that.
Come on.
Peer pressure. You can find me on places and around areas at MSU Mac. That's MSUMACC. Mike, where are you at?
I am on Twitter at run_bike_Mike, and I am on pretty much everything else as RunBikeMike. And if you want to see the picture of my little bike thing that I did with the pallet wall, you can find that on Instagram.
Yeah.
RunBikeMike.
You can cut this or leave it in. I don't care which. But we watch a guy on YouTube called Seth's Bike Hacks.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been doing some backyard mountain bike trail building stuff.
I know.
And this weekend, he put one up and he had a DeWalt chainsaw.
Mm-hmm.
And when he first started using it, he had dubbed over like gas chainsaw noises. And I was like, that's weird. It says DeWalt. I would have thought that would have been battery powered. And then all of a sudden he like drops out the sound.
Yeah.
And it's like, wee.
Yeah. I know. Whenever he first started that, I was like, why is that?
Why
did he dub that in? Because I knew right away.
You knew it was dubbed in?
I knew it was electric. I was like, why did he do that? And then I was like, oh, okay, that was funny.
Yeah.
Because that's what
super
they sound
clever.
like.
Yeah, super clever.
Yeah.
But anyway, you've been talking about getting an electric chainsaw. You have the pole saw, but you've been talking about that. And I instantly thought of you when I saw that. But anyway, that was it.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for sharing your lunch with us. Bye.
Bye.